will be adjourned at 10 p.m. sharp. Adequate notice of this meeting was given to the New Jersey Herald. It was also posted on the Sparta Township website and its bulletin board in accordance with all provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act. If you would please rise and join us in saluting the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Marissa, if you could please call the roll.
Landon Teneri,
Here.
Michael Josephic,
Here.
Richard Rohrbacher,
Here.
Jennifer Panaha,
Here.
Michael Steinberg,
Here. Chairman
Kenneth Larry.
Here. Thank you. We have one resolution to be memorialized, application 5-24-5, Avatar Full, decided on June 11, 2025 for C variance relief. The chair will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second, please.
Second.
Any discussion? Marissa, please call the roll.
Landon Teneri,
Yes.
Michael Josephic,
Yes.
Richard Rohrbacher,
Yes.
Jennifer Panaha,
Yes.
Michael Steinberg,
Yes.
Chairman Kenneth Larry.
Yes. The applications to be heard tonight are the following. Application 3-25, Lake Mohawk Preservation Foundation for D variance relief. It's a D2 variance expansion of a non-conforming use and also C variance relief. Paul and Melinda O'Halloran, application 4-25 for C variance relief. Also 1-25 Louis Peralta for D variance relief. It's a D2 variance expansion of a non-conforming use in a R2 residential zone and also C variance relief. Also, for the record, application 6-23 Elite Truck and Tire for D variance relief will be carried to August 13th, 2025 meeting
Get notice?
with no further notice required.
You would have gotten notice if you touched it.
After the applications are heard, I'll open the hearing to the public for any comments or questions they may have on items not on tonight's agenda. So Lake Mohawk Preservation Foundation, if you're so kind to come forward.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Daniel Benkendorf from the law firm of Askin Hooker, representing Lake Mohawk Preservation Foundation. Here on their behalf is Ryan Caruso, our engineer is planner Doug Dykstra, and our architect Glenn Gork. If we could have our experts sworn in and qualified.
Glenn, if you're so kind.
Let's get them all rised up on their hind legs. Gentlemen, do you all swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, the proceedings before the board tonight? So if you got,
I do.
all right, everybody stay there. Who are you?
Douglas Dykstra,
What are you?
a professional land surveyor and a professional planner.
And your licenses are valid as of tonight, Doug,
They are.
right? And with which Dykstra clan are you associated?
Dykstra Associates.
Okay, that's right up here in Andover. And you're going to be testifying as just an engineer or also a planner?
As a surveyor and planner.
Surveyor and planner.
My apologies, surveyor,
Not an engineer, though.
not an
No.
engineer.
Number two, who are you?
My name is Ryan Caruso. I'm the president of the Lake Mohawk Preservation Foundation.
Ryan or Brian, bud?
Ryan, R-Y-A-N.
D-A-R, like the singer, like the singer?
Like the singer.
And you're the president of the association.
Yes, sir.
And you, sir?
Yes, Glenn Gorlick, HQW Architects, principal and owner, and licensed in New
last name, Glenn?
Jersey. Gorlich.
And your first name, did mom give you one or two N's?
Two N's.
Okay, I did too, so.
Spelt it the right way.
That's right.
Here's a
And
stuff
you're a
Jason
licensed
and I
professional
put
engineer in
together.
the state of New Jersey?
Licensed architect.
Architect. And you're just going to be talking about the architecture.
Correct.
Have you ever appeared before this board before, Glenn?
I have.
And you've been accepted?
Yes.
Okay, well, the luck is still with you. All right, Counselor.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Beckendorf, I think you know the format here, but I'll make the announcement anyway. After you and your professionals have finished completing your client's application, I'll then open it up to our board professionals, Mr. Simmons and Lindsay Knight, for their reports. And then after they're finished, they'll come back to our board for members who have questions or comments on the application. And after we're finished, we'll open it to the public.
Understood.
And also, as you know, for the record, it's a D variance. You'll need 5 yes votes to have it approved. And if it is approved, as you also know, the variance goes with the land, tied to the land in perpetuity. And also, please speak clearly and directly, everyone, the professionals, when you come up into the microphone, since it's a state requirement that we have a recording of all proceedings. Now, how can we help you?
Okay,
Chairman, just before we get to that question, I think we have to put on record, because I assume that several people live in Lake Mohawk?
No, no one here from Lake Mohawk.
Killing me.
Own a property in Lake Mohawk, but I do not live.
So Jennifer owns her property, but she doesn't live in Lake Mohawk, so that's.
Okay,
fine.
and it's not within, as far as we know, you never received notice or anything, did you, Jen?
No, and I looked at this and it's not abutting it.
Okay,
Close.
so as far as I'm concerned, counsel, everybody can participate on this application.
thank you very much, Mr.
Glenn,
Keyes.
that's why I don't make the announcement any longer with Lake Mohawk applications, because I know no one lives there any
I
longer.
don't get that, I haven't had that many of them since I've come back.
All right, go ahead, Mr.
An
Beckendorf.
adequate notice was provided for this meeting. All right, I'll continue. So this project is more commonly known as the North Gatehouse Restoration Project. This consists of 2 separate lots. It's 214, 219 West Shore Trail, Lot 20, 40, Block 40, 28, and then Lot 9, Block 50, 56. Both are owned by the Lake Mohawk Country Club currently, but the application is made by the Lake Mohawk Preservation Foundation.
The preservation owns it.
Oh, Preservation owns it currently, excuse me. These lots initially, and our expert's going to speak to this, were originally designed, created for the purpose of the gatehouse. And they have existed ever since, for over 90 years. We're actually coming up on the 100-year anniversary of these gatehouses. The applicant is before the board this evening because they're seeking to renovate, restore much of the existing gatehouses, and actually reduce the lot coverage on one of the lots. Now, in Mr. Simmons' report, it's important to note that he suggested we might need a D variance for this application because the zone did not provide for it. I would like to suggest that maybe, in fact, we do not need a D variance, and the reason for that is.
Hold on, counsel.
Yep,
You don't want to get there.
okay, all right,
You want to get there, you're going back to planning.
okay, understood,
And Mr. Simmons and I have looked at it,
okay,
and we've talked about it.
okay,
I sat on some of the original, not the ones from 1900. I sat on some of the ones from in the late 80s and 90s. And this was always a zoning board application for certain things. And I think this one qualifies. So I think you want to keep it here, Dan.
certainly, absolutely, thank you. I just wanted to at least put it on the record. All right, so we're here this evening to discuss the gatehouses, and so without further ado, we'll have Doug begin his presentation of what we plan and intend to do with the properties. Doug?
Is this a good spot, or should I go? Center.
I don't know, people in the audience are here for this application too? No? Okay. Doug, you'll need the microphone so we can have you record it.
Even if I speak loudly? Yes? Well, maybe I am going to be over here.
You know, Doug, just before you get started, you received a report from Dave Simmons, did you not?
We did.
Do you have any problem with anything Dave called out in his report? He's going to go through
He's
it,
going to go through it, so I'm going to
but
wait.
you don't have any problem.
No,
And how about our planner?
I didn't see a report.
Lindsay, did you do one? All right, we'll get to that. Go ahead, Doug.
Okay, good evening. We're here today seeking variances to do improvements to the gatehouse and the guardhouse located on West Shore Trail in Sparta. The property is located about 0.2 of a mile south of Hughes' Corner. That's the intersection of West Shore Trail and South Shore Trail. The subject structures, the gatehouse is located on tax lot 20, block 4028. The acreage is 0.101 acres. The guardhouse is located on lot 9, block 5056, and the area is 0.73 acres. These structures were originally constructed in 1929. The proposed improvements, so that's the second sheet. We're going to actually, if you look at first of all, if you look at the existing building, you'll see it's kind of a square, whereas the proposed is more of a rectangle. There's 8 feet coming off the front of the building.
Which building?
In other words, off the gatehouse, the one on lot 20.
Okay.
Okay? The original structure actually encroached into the right-of-way. The proposed structure will be clear by 7.9 feet, thereabouts. The guardhouse on lot 9, block 5056, is going to get renovated. However, it's going to remain in the same footprint. Going back to the gatehouse, while we are taking the front of the building off, we are going to have planters lined with concrete curb or Belgian block curb, that hasn't been decided yet, in the front. So the traveled way will remain effectively the same as it is now. As far as the variances, as you can see, these lots are undersized lots for the zone. In fact, lot 20 has a required area of 8,000 square feet.
Doug, I want this to be kept reasonably simple and clear.
Okay.
Hold on. The new relief that you're seeking is what we need. Dave will straighten out the rest of the stuff. When I read the reports, they really get bogged down. We need to know what new relief the board's doing. We realize you're putting up new structures that require a use variance, as has been pointed out, but we don't need to rehash any previous relief that you got. That's in either David's report or it's marked on your
So in
plan.
other words, we have pre-existing non-conforming conditions,
How many
a
times
dozen of them.
How many times has this application been before the boards?
Oh, I don't know.
So Doug, I think,
So, in short-
I think you need the front yard variance, right side variance, and total side yard variance.
Right.
Correct?
Yes, and
Those
they're all,
three variants.
they're all listed on the plan as well in the chart on the left-hand side. So as far as the gatehouse, front yard, we are required is 35. We currently encroach by 1.9. The proposed will be 7.9 feet clear. The side yard setback 1, it's a 2-tier side yard, 8 minimum, total of 20. Our short side encroaches 1.1. The proposed is a negative 4.9, meaning we're going to be encroaching further with the addition. That's going to be mitigated with an easement into the right-of-way with Lake Mohawk Country Club. Side yard setback 2, that's a pre-existing condition, it's 9.4. On to the guardhouse. There's no changes to the footprint, so any variances that are listed on the sheet are pre-existing non-conforming conditions. As far as hardship, let's talk about topography first. The existing and proposed gatehouse located on lot 20 is literally built into a cliff. The back wall of the lower floor of this structure is cliff face. Okay? The guardhouse, on the other hand, is built on top of a retaining wall that comes all the way down West Shore Trail. It's about 10 feet tall, and then it drops 80 feet on more or less, called a steep ski slope, down to the bridle path along the shore of Lake Mohawk. Because of the restricted topography and the lot size and the lot shape and the lot location, we consider those hardships that justify the bulk variances. As to the D variances, there are 3 ways to grant a D variance: undue hardship, inherently beneficial, and that it carries out the purpose of zoning as defined in MLUL 40:5D-2. Goals. So on to undue hardship. Undue hardship exists in this situation because refusal to allow the gatehouse structures to be renovated and would result in further deterioration. Eventually, they would have to be torn down. That would create 2 lots that are undersized and zoned out of utility. As far as carrying out the purpose of the zoning, the project as proposed preserves the architecture that the community identifies with. The materials and sorry about that. The materials and design are in keeping with the Arthur D. Crane Lake-style homes and country club architecture. These upgraded structures will give Lake Mohawk community a sense of location. The gateway entrances will also serve as a traffic deterrent from speeding. As far as promoting desirable, visible environment through good civic design and arrangement, renovation of the dilapidated structures will enhance the aesthetics of the area. This isn't a good one. Goal J, promote conservation of historic sites. Although the guardhouse and gatehouse are not registered historical sites, they are clearly locally significant. The existence of the gatehouse was designated by the founders of Lake Mohawk Country Club as early as 1929, as indicated on the final maps, and as I was just informed, were built in 1929. So in conclusion, the proposed use promotes the general welfare of the community because the site is particularly suitable for this use. The proposed use is consistent with the overall goals of the Township Master Plan and Zone Ordinance. No significant, substantial negative impact to the neighborhood or zone plan will be realized. The positive attributes of the use outweighs any detriments. For these reasons and proofs, the Zoning Board of Adjustment can look favorably on this application and approve the uses proposed for this site.
All right, thank you, Mr. Dykstra. Who's next, Mr. Bergendorf?
The architect, Mr. Gorlick.
Glenn, is this exhibit on file with the municipality already, or is this something new, buddy?
Drawings A1 and A2 exist. There is a new drawing A3 regarding lighting that will need to be an exhibit.
Okay, so we'll mark that when you get to it.
Sure. Okay, starting with drawing A1, these are our concept plans. The left-hand side, we have our street level plan. And as you'll see here, the guardhouse, the guard tower to the bottom of the page, shown as an unoccupied space, which it currently is. And the intent is to remain unoccupied and unchanged in footprint. To the north side of the sheet, we have the gatehouse. You'll notice this plan already shows. You'll notice that the existing structure to the front has been removed, as spoken about by the engineer. We will need to reconstruct that new street facade to support the structure above. We've also shown the removal of the open-air stair to the left and the enclosed stair to the right, which also was encroaching on the right-of-way. That piece to the right will be reconstructed as a new side entrance. That is all of the scope at the street level. At the first floor, you'll notice there is no scope defined on the interior. The existing partitioning will remain, but is intended to be unoccupied, so no work is required at this time. We're only showing the infilling of some existing openings and a new communication stair from this level to the street level. As we move up to the second floor, again, unoccupied, no scope intended, with the only work being the removal of a chimney in the rear, which is deteriorated. So that'll be removed and that framing will be infilled. Moving on to drawing A2, this is our concept elevations. Primary elevation would be the street front facade as we're coming down West Shore Trail. You'll see the guard tower to the left looks exactly as it does today. The intent is to maintain the existing stone materials along the base, and as we come up through the tower, remove any materials that have rotted away, replace them with composite, low-maintenance materials that mimic the colors and textures of the existing, including new roofing for a synthetic slate roof. We're going to apply that same methodology to the gatehouse to the right. We're going to install a new stone base because we're going to remove the majority of it when we do the demolition. That stone will match the original 1929 stone of the guard tower. And then all of the finishes from there up will be replaced with composite materials to match the existing textures and colors. The one new piece of this is our signage truss. Originally, and then you can see this in some of the original, mind if I grab that from you? You can, what's that?
We'll have to mark that.
Sure.
That's going to be a souvenir for,
We'll just have to return it to crows eventually. So you can see originally
all
the
right, we're going to mark this as A.
A1, okay.
And it's a black and white photo of, I guess, what the guardhouse and gatehouse were at some point in time. Is that correct for identification purposes?
Correct.
Do we know what year?
We don't know what year, but it looks pretty close to 1929.
Okay. Thanks, Ken.
Okay, so you can see the tower, very similar to what we've got now. The gatehouse, very similar to what we have now. At one time, they removed this connection bridge. This was originally used by the occupants to get from the tower over to the gatehouse. We would like to reconstruct something similar. Obviously, since we are no longer going to be a habitable structure, we don't need pedestrians crossing across the top, but we would like to construct a signage truss to announce that you're entering West Shore Trail and Lake Mohawk. That truss is 16 feet off the ground as is required by New Jersey Highway Code, and it's a simple truss structure to mimic that original log structure. But obviously with the new spans, we're not going to construct this out of tree trunks. This will be steel and composite materials with some nice signage. The last sheet, this is our new sheet. So in the engineer's report, there,
That'll be
this will be A2. In the engineer's report, there was a question about lighting.
What is A2? Just describe it for the
A2 is a lighting plan.
date on it.
Yes, it's dated the same as the original submission, 4/17 of '25.
Thank you.
So this is in response to the engineer's report requesting information on proposed lighting. We have no substantial lighting plan for the building. We are proposing some downlights within the soffit on both structures that will generally illuminate the facades. It is all downlighting, no uplighting. We're also showing some wall washers along our new signage truss that will accent the truss as you're approaching it so that you know there is an overhead structure, and it will illuminate the new Lake Mohawk Country Club signage. We've also provided fixture cuts for both the downlights and the wall washers. And as per that report, we have confirmed that these fixtures will be 3,000 Kelvin and nothing higher than that. Any questions?
No, thank you. We'll have questions after the entire application is presented.
I just would ask one if it's all right, Mr. Chairman. Does the sign need any variance relief?
I don't believe so.
All right, we'll check when Dave gets
Yeah,
here.
we'll confirm.
All right, thank you. Who's next, Mr. Beckendorf?
That's it. That
Oh, that's
concludes the
it.
testimony. Yep.
So we'll open it out to our board engineers report. David, if you're so kind.
Certainly, Mr. Chairman. Just referring back to the report our office prepared dated May 21st, 2025. The applicant's professionals have gone through the various plans that we listed. And as far as the zoning goes, just looking at the guardhouse at first, I concur with what Mr. Dykstra said as far as the existing deficiencies, as far as the bulk requirements go. They're basically the same as the existing structure. I call them out as variances, but noted they were existing conditions. So there's been no change in that. With regards to the gatehouse, again, I called out the various variances, and as Mr. Dykstra outlined, he compared the existing situation to some of the improvements that they're doing. It's still deficient as far as, for example, the front yard setback, but it's a betterment as far as what the existing condition is today. So we checked on all that, and there are a couple other variances that are existing conditions. The lot width at the setback, building setback 80 feet, minimum required 75 feet is existing and still proposed. the lot area, substandard 4,396 square feet, where 8,000 square foot is required. Then with regards, as they discussed, the permitted use as far as the gatehouse and the guardhouse versus single-family dwellings that are allowed in the R3 zone. With regards to utilities, there is an existing water main and West Shore Trail that's not shown on the plan, and the applicant I had in here to advise if there will be any water service to either the gatehouse or the guardhouse. My understanding, and the applicant correct me if I'm wrong, that since it's an uninhabitable place, there's not going to be any water or sewer service to the buildings. Okay, so that takes care of items 4A and 4B. I do note, just for the record and for everyone's information, that our office is working with the township as far as replacing the water main in West Shore Trail. And that is supposed to go out and start in, if everything goes all right, in August of this year, next month, just so everyone's aware about that. With regards to electric, there are lines going into both the gatehouse and the guardhouse, and based on the testimony the board just heard, given that there's going to be some lighting and what have you, obviously there's going to have to be electric service, and that'll be maintained. There's an existing gas main that none of the proposed work on the two structures seems to interfere with. Again, since it's been testified to that it's not going to be a habitable space, my understanding is they won't be running any gas in there for any heat or any other utilities. And with regards to lighting, my recollection is that the fire department had made mention of lighting, especially of the truss between the two structures to illuminate it, so anyone coming in, even though it's a 16 feet, would be aware of the structure. And with Exhibit A2, we'll have to review that, but they have provided lighting for that particular area, so that's a good thing. With regards to storm drainage, again, the township has a standard ordinance that if they're increasing the impervious surface more than 500 square feet, some mitigation would be required. In this case, they're reducing the impervious coverage by about 147 square feet, so no mitigation is required, and the existing drainage will be able to function as it basically does right now. With regards to landscaping, they have not provided any landscaping in the traditional sense, but as Mr. Dykstra mentioned, they are having planters in the front of the the gatehouse, so they'll be planting and landscaping from that standpoint on the structure. With regards to the architectural plans, again, there were several areas labeled unoccupied space, and as the architect for the applicant just testified, there's not going to be anybody in there at this time, so that confirmed that situation. And my understanding is, based on the testimony, there won't be any HVAC units added because they're proposing not to have it as an occupied space. An EIS statement wasn't provided since they're basically making the structures smaller as far as the gatehouse goes. There's less impact, and as Mr. Dykstra pointed out, on the gatehouse side, there is a steep rock slope on the back side of that structure, so they're not infringing on that anymore, so that'll help reduce any impact to the area. And the structure for the guard tower basically is going to stay the same footprint, so that won't have any impact. We did request under construction details, curbing, asphalt repair, the lighting fixtures, the landscape planning, and the warning signs for the overhead truss connection, just as construction details that should be provided so everyone knows at the township level what those features are going to be and can verify them when they inspect it in the field. And I believe the only approval they're going to need for this is the township construction official, because we are dealing with structures they'll have to get permits for. And finally, as we normally do, I recommend that an as-built plan be prepared so the setbacks that they're getting variances for can be verified when the project is completed and the township has an official record of what was approved if the board so desires. And that's my updated report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, David. You said something about the fire report? So
My
when I
recollection
They
is-
had no comment on the application.
Then it might have been someplace else, or it might have been me.
Oh, okay.
But I still recommend that it be lit so that someone coming down there is, as they pointed out, is aware of the structure going across, which they are proposing.
Mr. Chairman, there was a report from the Fire Prevention Bureau. And that was just dated June 16th, 2025, and they had no comment.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, I just wanted,
Okay.
That's what I said.
I didn't catch that.
Oh, you didn't
Getting
catch
on the
that.
record.
That's why I was asking, David. All right, thanks, David. Lindsay, our professional board planner, if you're so kind to give your report.
Yeah, Mr. Simmons hit on a lot of the items in my letter. The one item I just would ask is if we could confirm the size of the signage. Although signs are not permitted in the zone, I think that this variance could be subsumed in the D2 use variance that they are asking for because given the nature of the structure, it's very much meant to be a gateway or an entrance into the community. So if we could just get on the record the size of the sign, I think that it would be okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
You want to come forward then? And then speak into the microphone, please.
We can add that to the drawings for record. I don't have that exact size right now, but
Got
we
it.
can easily add that.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, are there requirements as to this? I'm not trying to be pain in the neck on the sign, but I know how this board is for signs. Are there requirements as to the size of letters and what the standards are under the ordinance, Lindsay?
So in the ordinance, residential signs, the only signs that are permitted are non-illuminated for sale or lease or rent signs or nameplate and identification signs. I think in a way this would be considered an identification sign, but I think it's meant more so in the sense of like the address, street address. But other than that, it doesn't have any restrictions on for the residential zone, the size of the letters.
Is it your position that from a planning standpoint, this is more of a wayfinder? It lets you know where you are and the fact that you're going into Lake Mohawk?
Yes, yeah, I think it's more of a wayfinding sign. It's kind of, I think it's more in line with kind of the gatehouse and the kind of the entrance into a new area of the community.
But do we have an idea, Mr. Chairman, as to what the maximum size of letters and the like and what it's
No, I
going to
wouldn't even
say?
have that, Glenn, right now. I can't even, I know it's in the ordinance and so forth.
No, I wasn't. I think that they ought to submit something and make it subject to somebody's review, and you might even carry the sign part of it to the next board hearing, because you folks usually look at
Right.
signs, so you just want to make sure you think the letters and the colors and all of that stuff are consistent. I'm not,
I agree.
up, Glenn. I got it.
Just looking at like the ordinance in general, a lot of the requirements deal with the percentage of wall area and the facades of the, because they're meant for storefronts and businesses. So I don't think there's anything, because this is kind of a unique thing, but we could look at maybe the sign area and determine that if the sign area, a certain sign
we,
area would be.
Yeah, I spoke with my client quickly. We could agree that the sign will be maintained within a 1-foot high and 20-foot wide area, with the aesthetics of the sign to still be, can be reviewed by the engineer and the planner without having to come back before the board.
I wouldn't necessarily ask that you necessarily had to appear, but if you submitted it, it's up to the board.
To submit something, because we're very adamant with signage in this town, as you probably know. So,
For example, though, in the C1 zone, the signs are not to exceed 24 square feet. So that would be an idea of the signage that's,
We're proposing 20 square feet. So.
well, just if you can provide information, you don't have to come back for that meeting, but the board could review the information on it.
Yeah.
you could,
Sure.
you could make it a condition of resolution.
It's gonna be a condition, but what'll happen is they'll submit it, the board will look at it, and it'll be a condition that'll be in the resolution, and the board will just take a look, and assuming you get an approval tonight, council, the board will just give it the nod or say, no, what are you thinking?
Understood.
Thank you, Glenn. Anything else, Lindsay? Well, that covers
No,
everything?
that's it.
All right, thank you. Then the last two things, Mr. Beckendorf, did you receive the memo from our traffic bureau on their comments?
I did, but I haven't seen it.
I could provide you a copy then.
Okay,
if
thank you.
you're so kind to look at and respond to that. Just read it over a few minutes.
Just for the record, Mr. Chairman, we're talking about the report from Richard Smith,
Yes.
Traffic Bureau, and it was dated June 18th, 2025.
Since we have all our other boards and departments commenting on applications now,
It's just.
Makes it much easier,
it
doesn't
makes
it?
it a lot easier. So,
We're not constricting the entrance any further than it already is.
And we are maintaining the height.
And we got the 16 feet.
can you speak a little louder, Mr. Dykser, into the microphone,
We're
please?
not constricting the traveled way at all, any further than it already is. So what you have now is what you'll have when the project's complete.
Okay. And Mr. Beckendorf, the Environmental Commission recommended plantings and landscaping to provide sheet flow buffers adjacent to the steep slopes around the subject property, et cetera, and also about the proposed lighting, 3,000 Kelvin or less. I think you covered that.
The lighting, certainly, as far as the landscaping, there were going to be planting boxes at the front of the gatehouse.
And the last report was from Sabine Watson, the engineer for Lake Mohawk. Did you see that? All
Yes.
her comments, and you agree with everything in there?
Yes.
Okay,
That was a letter of approval.
yes. All right, we'll now open for questions and comments from the board. Marissa?
Landon Teneri.
Yeah, it's just some questions. I was just curious how it works. Is there a code or anything, or is this just purely aesthetic?
It's just aesthetic. There will be no.
Slows
yep,
down traffic as
They
well.
will not, it doesn't slow down traffic even. It's just
Oh, okay.
aesthetic. Yep. The gates will not be in operation.
Okay, so it's just an open.
Out there in front of the gatehouse, they're going to stay there with the tag, with the keypad, card entry.
So do people? I'm not. So does there?
Yeah.
Do like homeowners get
we
a
can-
code and stuff like that? Okay.
We can have our clients speak to it, but those actual gates aren't associated with the gatehouses and the guardhouse.
I see. Okay.
They're separate from.
I see. This is just.
This is
I
just an
understand.
aesthetic purpose. There's no actual operation. And that's separate from this application.
Understood.
You want me to clarify? You good?
Yeah.
I think I get it. Thank you.
Yeah, the club owns the gate mechanisms. We own the land.
And I think it's already been clarified.
Yeah.
I think we
All right,
did.
no problem.
No name and address and all that's,
No, we already,
okay.
Got him.
you already said who he was. I don't think he's changed since then.
All right. Great. Thank you. That's all my
Thank
questions.
you.
Michael Josephic.
Yeah, just a little more clarity on the truss that's running between the two buildings. You said it was gonna be steel and composite. Is it, are you is the steel visible? Is it gonna look like a bridge, or is it gonna be like composite wrapped around the steel to mimic the logs? What's it?
Correct. This steel will be the superstructure underneath, and we'll wrap that in composite materials that mimic the old wood
Oh, cool.
trims
Okay.
and sidings and pieces like
Very
that.
good.
Yeah, we don't want to see a galvanized aluminum
Yeah,
bridge
that's
coming
what I was
across.
wondering. Okay.
But with
perfect.
those spans, we're going to need to have steel in there somewhere.
Okay, perfect. And then my other question is regarding the height of the truss. I know you said 16 feet, which is pretty high. Do you need any kind of like road signage to indicate the height? I mean, is that like a requirement? I mean, when I drive by bridges and whatnot, there's
Listed
always
in the
a-
engineer's report.
It was, okay. Sorry, I
We
missed that.
will have it.
That's it.
Richard Rohrbacher.
No questions.
Jennifer Panaha.
No questions.
Michael Steinberg.
Maybe the most ignorant question of the evening on this one. But
That's
in regards to the D variance in particular, what all is going into that one? Maybe Mr. Engineer, you could ask, clarify that one for me. I know we talked about the sign variance, potentially on this one, but what else is going into the D variance?
I can take it. Yeah.
That was probably Lindsay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's my time to shine.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, so a D variance this is for a D2 variance, but a D variance, a D1 or a D2 variance are specific to the use. So they are uses that are not permitted within the zone that they are located in. So a gatehouse is not a permitted use within a residential zone in town. In this case, it's existing. However, they are technically expanding upon the use only slightly, but because of that, it does require that D2, which is expansion of a non-conforming use.
Okay, definitely clear on this. I didn't know if there was anything over and above that that was being asked of. So, okay, clear. Thank you.
Yeah, yep.
Chairman Kenneth Larry.
No questions. I'll now open the hearing to the public. If anyone has any questions or comments on this application, please come forward. Seeing no one in the public, it's now closed to the public and back to the board for consideration. Any other questions or comments from the board? Okay. The chair makes a motion to have our board attorney prepare a resolution for application.
Well, don't we need to vote to approve this first?
No, that's what we're doing now with the, I'm making the motion, so I don't have to make an amendment to some other member's motion. So I'm doing it directly this time, Richard.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Again, the chair makes a motion to have our board attorney prepare a resolution approving application 3-25, Lake Mohawk Preservation Foundation, blocks 5056 and 4028, lots 9 and 20. For a D2 variance for the expansion of a non-conforming use, following variances: front yard variance 27.1 feet, right side yard variance 3.1 feet, total side yard variance 15.5 feet. And David, our board engineer, can you confirm those, if that's correct?
Yes.
Good, thank you. With some conditions involved to provide the sign information for our next meeting. Also, adherence to our board engineer's report, adherence to our board planner's report also. And also adherence to the Lake Mohawk Country Club engineer's report, Sabine Watson. Also provide as-built plans of the site prepared for a licensed New Jersey land surveyor on completion of the project. Also approval from our Sparta Township construction official, according to all plans and testimony submitted here tonight. Glenn, did I cover everything or leave out any other
You did a
conditions?
great job. I think they also need to provide evidence. And I think the county's going to waive it, Dan.
Mhm.
But did you submit to the county planning board?
Not yet.
Right, you got to do that because you're not going to get anywhere. But my position, quite frankly, is that they really have, I don't think, any jurisdiction. So
Right.
I think it's for informational purposes. But you have to submit
We
it,
will submit
and you got to
as
get
a
a
D
piece
variance.
of paper in to Maris.
Understood.
And you have to make sure you pay all fees, right, Maris?
Yes.
Pay all fees.
It's not
within
free.
10 days. We're going to start that as a requirement, so Marissa can keep all her hair on her head. I think that's it, Mr.
All
Chair.
right, thank you. Thank you, Glenn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Marissa, please call the roll.
Landon Teneri.
Yes.
Michael Joseph.
Yes.
Richard Rohrbacher.
Yes.
Jennifer Panaha.
Yes.
Michael Steinberg.
Yes.
Chairman Kenneth Larry.
Yes. Congratulations, your application has been
Thank you.
approved.
Appreciate it.
Good luck.
We're keeping the photo, right, so she can fix up her office?
We told they were blacks.
She's gonna have it to give it back to crows at some point, though.
The Lois.
Thank you. Take care.
Oh, thank you.
No. It's a USB-C.
right, next application, 4-25, Paul and Melinda Halloran for C variance. Please come forward.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Daniel Bankendorf from the law firm of Askin and Hooker, representing the applicant.
Yes, well, yeah,
Excuse me one moment. I'm sorry.
No
to
problem.
interrupt you.
Yeah.
Richard
I need
Robacker,
to-
one of our members, might have a conflict, so our board attorney, Glenn Keats, will say why, if you're so kind, Glenn.
I am recusing myself from this discussion.
Understood.
That's all.
And that means you also have to step off the board,
I can do that.
and you shall.
I will. Find out how my wife.
Go ahead, Mr.
is enjoying
Beckendorf.
her-
Sure, certainly. Thank you, Chairman. Daniel Bankendorf from the law firm of Askin and Hooker, representing the applicants, Paul and Melinda O'Halloran. And we have our expert here, and we also have Mr. O'Halloran. Mr. O'Halloran, if you please be sworn in.
Glenn, if you're so kind.
Want me to, you want to swear them both in? Gentlemen, both raise your right hands. You both swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth that you're seeing before the board tonight, something you got?
I do.
All right, you're gonna have to keep your voice up just a little bit. You're kind of soft-spoken. What's your name, sir?
Paul O'Halloran, I do.
And you're the applicant, right, Paul?
Yes.
Okay. And who are you?
James Glasson, professional engineer.
Jim, your license is still valid as of tonight, correct?
Yes, it is.
And you've testified countless times before this board, right, Jim?
Yes, I have.
Thank you, Glenn. Mr. Bergedorf, you know the routine, that after you're finished presenting your application, our board professionals will present their report, and then our board members will have any comments or questions that go next, and I'll open it to the public. How can we help you?
Yeah, so we're here this evening to discuss a property located at 284 East Shore Trail. And it's block 3023, lot 58. It's on a 0.17 acre lot in the R3 zone. Presently, it's developed with a 1,300 square foot, single-family residential home with 2 bedrooms. In the interest of transparency, this application is before the board this evening because we're seeking bulk variance relief for the addition of a 12 by 12, 124 square foot room on the applicant's home. And under normal circumstances, they wouldn't generally have a problem with the size of the home, but unfortunately, the applicants, they have an adult disabled son. And the purpose for this application is for this addition to the home so that they have a place on the first floor to change their son, also a private space for their son. And so that's why we're before the board this evening with this application. So we're here, currently there are a number of variances, pre-existing non-conforming variances, but I'm just going to get to the ones that we're particularly interested in. The total side yard setback is 20 foot. It's going to be, with this addition, 11 feet. The total impervious coverage, a maximum is 25%. Currently, it exists at 27.33%, and we're only increasing it to 27.47%. It really is a nominal increase in that bulk variance. And then building coverage, 18%. It's being increased to 19.79%. The other variances include front yard, rear yard, left side, setbacks, also lot width and lot area.
Those are existing.
They're all existing.
They're all existing, yep. And so, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Jim Glasson, who put on the testimony about our application this evening. You will note that Ann Sears, our architect, could not be here this evening for personal reasons. Mr. Glasson has spoken with her about her plans. Also, my client has had an opportunity to review the plans that were prepared on his behalf, and he's happy to testify to them as well. And just real quick, Mr. Howland, will you come to the microphone, please? You've heard my representations this evening. Is that accurate?
It is, yes.
And do you wish that to be your testimony this evening?
I do.
Okay, thank you. You be seated. Mr. Glasson?
First sheet I'm showing you is my existing conditions plan. It's a colorized version of my sheet 204 that you have. I don't know if you want me to mark it, but it is slightly different in that it's a colorized sheet. It's sheet 1 of 1 on my plans with a date of 7/1/25, so it's slightly different than yours in that it's colorized.
So we're going to mark that as A1.
I won't get into lot and blocks and that kind of stuff because that was already discussed by Mr. Beckendorf, but to tell you, we're lakefront property that's representing Lake Mohawk. To the left of us is actually the boat ramp for Lake Mohawk. So anybody who's driven on East Shore Trail, this lot sits between East Shore Trail and the lake. It's 70 foot in width. It's about 107 feet deep. So we're deficient again in lot sizes. Mr. Beckendorf said your lot size is measured within 100 feet of the front. You have 8,000 square foot required. We have a lot that's 7411, but we only have 7,000 square feet within 100 feet. So that's a nonconformity. The basic, I'm going to run you around real quick to the nonconformities. On the left-hand side, the house is as close as 2.3 to the property line, but that property line does abut the boat ramp. So there is no real neighbor on that side. Our right side setback is at 18.3. So that's in excess. So the combination of the two of them exceed the 20 feet currently. The front setback is non-conforming at 28 feet to the front of the house, or 35 feet is the requirement. The rear is conforming at 38, I believe 38.2 or 35 feet is the requirement. As Mr. Beckendorf said, we have a 2-bedroom, 2-story house. The footprint of the house is 1343 with overhangs. There's 1,222 square feet of actual living space. The current property slopes from the lake at about 6%. In front of the property on the left side is a paved driveway. We have a walkway in the front. We have some decks on the rear. There was one item on our left-hand side. We have 2 septic tanks, a septic tank and a pump tank that are, if you look at that plan, they're actually off the property. They exist in an easement on the Lake Mohawk property and pump to a septic disposal bed in our front yard. But there's an easement for those 2 tanks. What there isn't an easement for is we do have a generator pad on that property. Lake Mohawk has indicated that they would give us an easement for that, and Mr. Simmons had brought that up and asked what the status or where we were going with that. But we do have some.
Yes.
proof that would be granted.
If the board looks kindly upon the application this evening, I have spoken with Sabine Watson. I will be preparing an easement for that generator.
So right now, our total of, when you add up all the coverages that we have on our property, we slightly exceed the 25% allowable, as we said. We actually are going to be reducing our coverage. We're not increasing our coverage. That was one thing Mr. Beckendorf had said, but we are actually reducing it. Our existing coverage is at 27.47. So we're not over by a lot with this size of property. We're over by a very minimal amount at the current time, but we are reducing it. I'm going to go through what we're proposing. This is a 10 scale drawing, my sheet 3 of 4. I'm going to mark it again, only because it's a colorized version of it. This is 10 scale, so it's blown up just to, so if you want to follow along, you can kind of see from your drawing.
Is that a new form? A2?
Oh, wait, could you please use the microphone? And if that's not, you could have the other one there.
Okay.
That's better.
I'll talk very
All
loud
right.
into that microphone.
Please.
I'm going to go around the house right now just to tell you the changes. On the back left corner of the house, there's a 77 square foot area of gravel. We're removing that. We're putting back 2 air conditioning pads and a wall hanging air conditioning pad. So there's an increase of 11, but a reduction of 77 square feet of gravel. So that's an area that we're taking coverage away. On the left side of the house, we're removing an old oil tank pad that's no longer there. It's served by natural gas now. That's a 12 square foot pad. There are no changes to these items that are off the property. Again, this one will, it does exist, these 2 tanks within an easement. There will be an easement put around the generator pad. In the front of the house, the driveway remains the same. The walkway to the front door, which is 85 square feet, is being removed, and a new pervious walkway is being put in to reduce our coverage. The right side is where the most significant items are in the application. The first item is this 120, it's not quite a 12 by 12. 12 by 12 is 144. It comes out to 124 because it's an odd-shaped side of the house. So it's basically bringing the house out square. It's 12 feet in the back and 12 feet along the right side, but it's shorter along the front. That's why it equates to 124 square feet. But what that does is it reduces the side setback to 8.9. And that 8.9, which was 18.3, it does exceed the side yard setback of 8 feet, but what it does is it kicks our combined coverage down to 11.2. So that gets us a need for a side yard combined variance where 20 feet is required. We're at 11.2. When you add up that with, we now have a proposed Bilco door also on that side, 26 square feet. That Bilco door will access a small basement, 6-foot high ceiling. The basement right now is accessed by a set of stairs from inside the house that are literally straight down. So really, it would enable access to store some boats, maybe have a refrigerator, so if they have a party in the back, but it's not a huge area. It's a very small basement area. Not livable. It's not even just a 6-foot ceiling. I can fit in it, but I can't fit in it well. So our coverage, once we do all these things and mitigate with the walkway and whatnot, our coverage is reduced to 27.33. So it's slightly reduced from the 27.47, but to further mitigate it and reduce it, we've proposed to put in 4 infiltrators, and we did this because we're sensitive to the lake and the increasing coverage on the water. So we've put in 4 infiltrators, and we're taking the roof area of this addition to an infiltrator system. Mr. Simmons had called out in his report that the 500 square foot is not met, but we're doing the infiltration anyway because we want it to be friendly to Lake Mohawk, the lake, and basically do some further mitigation. If you were to take that roof area out of the equation, we're almost at 25%. So we've almost brought our coverage back to conforming. We're slightly over. I think it's 25.66. And Mr. Simmons had called out in his report, we're going to have to do a soil log for that. Infiltrators are very small, shallow chambers because, of course, we're close to the water. They're very small, shallow chambers. I've done them in a number of places around the lake. I have them on my property. I live on the lake. They're small chambers. They're like 10 to 12 inches in height, depending on what models you get. And they just literally go under the ground surface, and they allow you to put some stone under them, and they allow you to infiltrate runoff. It gets to the lake eventually, but it goes through those chambers and basically infiltrates into the ground as opposed to running directly off. So they would be piped to this infiltration system. I'm going to go through our list of variances. Impervious coverage, 25 is required. 27.47 exists. We're reducing that to 27.33 without the infiltrators. With the infiltrators, we'd be further reducing it, but I can't count that for the variance. So we're reducing it, so we still are in excess of the 25. Our building coverage is at 18%. 18% equates to 1,333 square feet. The house that's out there now is at 18.12. It's over by 10 square feet. It's 1,343. So when you this small of a lot, when you change the minimum amount of size, it sounds big, but it's really not. The 19.79 is the new building coverage with this 124 square foot addition, and that is over the allowable by 134 square feet. We're already infiltrating 124 square feet of it into this infiltration system, and we're removing this walkway out front and putting pervious in. So we are getting this thing down below what's out there right now in coverage. We have a side yard setback coverage, as I said, reducing that combined side yard to that 11.2 from the 20. I will comment on the architecturals. Ann gave me an overview of this is an original Crane home. So because one of the questions when we all got together to talk was, why aren't we putting this somewhere inside of here, cordoning off a room inside of here? Very difficult to do because it's the higher ceilings in the Crane houses. The other thing is there's not a lot of space in here. And what this is enabling them to do is they're reconfiguring the walls in here so they're getting an accessible bathroom and an accessible kitchen for wheelchair accessible. So they're getting much bigger rooms out of the inside by reconfiguring things. So they really need this changing room or this private room for their son. So that's the real reason for this. Normally, you would say, let's take this room and possibly stack it upstairs in another place, but it does no good to them because their son cannot get to the second floor. He's wheelchair bound. So really, this works well for them. It gives them a private spot on their first floor. So that was the gist of what Ann had said to me. It allows much better access to the kitchen area and this accessible bathroom on the first floor.
Mr. Glasson, if you were testifying on your own, forget Ann. This all makes sense to you as an engineer who's been doing this for years. Is that correct?
Totally makes sense. And it's a minimal, what they're asking for is very minimal.
There was also a specific reference in one reports regarding 3 windows and 2 windows, and that's been remediated, right? There are 3 windows on that.
It has. Ann gave me some copies if you wanted to hand. She corrected she realized after Dave had said, why is there 3 or 2 when there's 3 shown? She has fixed that facade and gave me, she will submit new ones of these, but she has fixed that if you want to pass this out. She was talking about windows.
What's the date on that?
No, there's no date on it. This is just a printout she gave me, just to show that she had changed that that orientation of windows. It doesn't even have a date. You may just let her resubmit. Those were her real comments about why they did what they did, and I concurred with her.
Since you're offering it, you don't disagree with the comments at all. You'd be making these comments on your own, too.
Correct.
wouldn't
She explained the whole situation to me and what was going on, and I
you? Yeah,
totally
we trust
concur.
you, and we got you here live.
And do you believe that this qualifies under the
Could you
hardship?
pass, excuse me, mister, could you use the microphone, please?
No problem. Apologize.
Thank you.
Mr. Glassen, do you believe this qualifies under the hardship relief for a C1 variance as well as the C2 special circumstances as it benefits purposes MLUL A, B, C, I, and K?
I will comment that I am not a professional planner, but in my opinion, it does. So, I mean, I can't testify as a professional planner. I am not. But,
Mr. Glassen, let me help you a little bit. As an engineer,
yes,
you can still testify to that.
it does.
And our planner will not come after you for doing
Oh,
that.
it does. Some do.
You're wrong.
Thank you. No further questions for Mr. Glassen.
Anyone else, Mr. Bergendorf? That's for the
Uh,
time being?
Not this evening for this application.
All right. Then, David, if you're so kind to give your report?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. For the record, referring to the report we prepared dated June 4th, 2025. On page 2 of the report, we listed the various variances that Mr. Glassen just went over, and I concur with them.
Excuse me, David, sorry to interrupt you. Is the impervious coverage proposed 27.33 or 27.43 as the applicant had
Based
suggested?
on what I heard tonight, it's 27.47, correct?
47? Okay.
So I stand corrected. And while we're correcting one thing, on the rear yard setback, 35 feet minimum is required, 38.2 feet is proposed and existing. That does not need a variance.
Right.
So I correct that.
Excuse me, Dave. It's 27.47 existing, 27.33 proposed.
So 27.33 is what we're going with.
Yes, it's
All right.
been reduced after we've done this.
Okay.
Right.
And we clarified that, and we took off the rear yard setback variance because that exceeds what's required. With regards to the variance plan, I did note about the generator pad on the adjacent lot, just like the septic tanks, and the solution that the Lake Mohawk Country Club and the applicant came up with for an easement for that is a good solution to take care of that situation. And I did point out that on one of the sheets, there is a dock that is off the lake frontage property right now. And my understanding is Lake Mohawk has approved that. That's not part of the application. It is an existing feature that I saw when I was out there. I just pointed it out. With regards to utilities, again, water is taken care of from the line in East Shore Trail, and it's not conflicting as shown on the plan with the proposed addition. The septic tank and system that's on the adjacent lot is covered with a deed from years ago and recorded in Book 1367, page 108. The electric is coming off East Shore and it's not in conflict, and the applicant has noted on their plan they do have to relocate the existing gas meter because that's going to conflict with the proposed addition work. As Mr. Glassen pointed out, they're proposing the infiltrators, which is beyond the 25-foot buffer from the seawall of Lake Mohawk, which is fine, and they are collecting the roof water, which is quote-unquote clean water by DEP standards, so that's fine as well, and the other mitigation that they're doing. I saw the plan that Mr. Beckendorf brought over correcting the 3 windows versus 2 on the architectural plans, and they are adding the HVAC unit. No environmental impact statement was provided. And number 9, they are, as far as approvals go, Sparta Township construction official for the addition, and Soil Conservation District is recommended because we're right next to Lake Mohawk. And as usual, get an as-built plan upon, if the board so approves the application, so we can verify all the proper setbacks and what have you. And I'm just thinking out loud, based on what the board attorney just said, East Shore Trail is a county road, so they'll probably have to make an application to the county planning board? No? Okay.
I don't think I think the reason that there's no, Dave, is because it's not a site plan.
Yep.
So the county really has no jurisdiction. They're not changing anything based on the testimony of Mr. Glassen with the curb cut or anything else. So I don't think the county gets
Okay.
involved in this.
That's fine. And that's my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, David.
Yep.
Marissa, you could open the hearing to the board for any questions or comments they may have.
Landon Teneri,
I have no questions.
Michael Joseph,
No questions.
Richard Rohrbacher. Oh, excuse me.
He was
Jennifer
recused.
Panaha.
I guess my question was, since, you border the launch ramp there, right? And the beach there, and you've got several easements on the left-hand side, and I know you're trying to monkey around to get room. What has been the feedback from your neighbors? I mean, you're really halving the distance between your neighbor's house and yours. Have they been notified? Has there been a formal, they've said, yeah, that's okay, that you're taking away 10 feet of side yard there?
I could ask my client if he's had an opportunity to speak with the neighbors, but they were noticed for this meeting.
I will point out, it still meets the side yard 8-foot setback. That 8.9 after the
It's
addition.
at 8.9.
Correct. So it
Okay,
still
so
meets
the
side yard.
total side yard setback is not, but
Correct.
that yard is. Okay, thank you. That's great. Okay, no more questions.
And this has already gone before the Lake Mohawk Country Club, and they've already approved the application.
Okay.
Michael Steinberg,
No questions.
Chairman Kenneth Larry.
No questions, Marissa. I'll now open a hearing to the public. If anyone's in the public with comments and questions on this application, please come forward. No one? All right, see, no one has any comments or questions. It's now closed to the public and back to this board. Any other questions or comments before we make a motion? The chair will entertain a motion approving this application, and I'll guide the member through it with an amendment to their motion if they need help.
I'll make a motion if it could be amended, please.
So you'll accept my amendment,
Yes.
Landon? Okay. We'll have our board attorney prepare a resolution approving application 4-25, block 3023, lot 58 for Paul and Melinda O'Halloran. Construct a one-story addition with the following variances. Total side yard, 8.8 feet. Impervious coverage, 2.33%, and building coverage, 1.79%. David, if you can confirm those figures once again?
I concur.
Thank you. Also, the condition that the applicant adheres to all the points in our board engineer's report. Also, for approvals to be confirmed, Sparta Township Construction Official, Upper Delaware Conservation District. Also, to provide as-built plans on the site prepared by a licensed New Jersey land surveyor upon completion of the project, according to all testimony and plans submitted here tonight. And Glenn, I'll ask you one more time, is everything covered there in that amended motion? Marvelous. Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Marissa, please call the roll.
Landon Teneri,
Yes.
Michael Joseph,
Yes.
Jennifer Panaha,
Yes.
Michael Steinberg,
Yes.
Chairman Kenneth Larry.
Yes. Congratulations, your application's been approved. And should we have the offer to waive the right to a written resolution?
I suspect they might want to get
Yes.
started.
Thank you.
The chair will make a motion for
So moved.
second, please.
Second.
Marissa, please call the roll.
Landon Teneri,
Yes.
Michael Joseph, Jennifer Panaha,
Yes.
Michael Steinberg,
Yes.
Chairman Kenneth Larry.
Yes. All right, congratulations, good luck.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Hey, how's it going, bud?
You're back.
I'm back, whether you want me or not.
Unrecused.
I be here. Okay.
Richard, Landon took your place.
Yeah, I know. We planned it that way. Yeah, I filled him in. No problem.
I had to get some help.
Next application, 1-25 Louis Peralta for B2 variance expansion of a non-conforming use in an R2 residential zone. Please come forward.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
You
Daniel
again, Mr.
Beckendorf.
Beckendorf, the trifecta here tonight?
He's taking up residence here.
I didn't plan it this way. I